Chapter 32. Making Fun. If a normal person was stared at by this middle-aged man, they would have probably developed fear in their hearts already. However, Fang Wen lost interest after looking at him for a second and continued focusing on his meal, treating this man as if he were invisible. Who's that guy? He wears the clothing of a family servant, and he is not a Gu master. Why would he dare to question young Master Fang Yuan? An employee wondered as he hid at the corner of the inn, sensing that the situation may turn ugly. He's like a fox assuming a tiger's ferocity. By using the Mo family as his backing, this servant man dares to clamor at a Gu master. If it were any other mortal man, they wouldn't have the guts to do this, someone beside the employee replied in disdain. Even so, as a mere mortal, he has the guts to cause a ruckus towards a Gu master. Tsk, tsk. This kind of experience must feel really great. You shouldn't think that a Gu master is always high and mighty. Young Master Fang Yuan is merely a rank 1 initial stage Gu master, and he has just managed to refine his vital Gu. If they were to fight now, he may not be the opponent of this muscular and strong mortal. Sigh, let's just hope that when they fight later, they will spare our inn and the furniture. The employees chattered back and forth, but none dared to take a step forward, only staring from a distance. Hey, you still have the mood to continue eating? Seeing as how he did not manage to intimidate or scare Fang Wen, the muscular middle-aged man had a hint of doubt in his eyes. Do you think I'm lying to you? There are already people reporting to young miss, and she will be here shortly. Do not attempt to run away, young lad, because you won't be able to get away. My job here is to make sure you stay put. There will be much suffering for you later. Fang Wen paid no heed to the man and continued eating his meal. The middle-aged servant frowned as he did not see a hint of panic or shock from Fang Yuan. This made him feel ignored, and his pride was severely offended. He had been a servant in the Mo family for over a decade, and he had acquired the trust of his master. Over a long period, he would naturally come to learn about the details of Gu masters. Rank 1 Gu masters mostly relied on their physical combat skills. In battle, a Gu worm's worth was attributed more to its deterrence factor than as a fighting force. He knew especially that for a young Gu master like Fang Yuan, who had just started cultivating, his physical strength was far inferior when compared to a grown man. If it came down to close combat, he who had trained for many years would gain the upper advantage. At the same time, Fang Yuan had supposedly only refined the Moonlight Gu, so at the max, he would only be able to shoot out several moonblades. The middle-aged man was used as a sparring partner from a long time ago, so he knew deeply that if a rank 1 initial stage Gu master were to use his primeval essence to unleash the moonblade, the most it could do was cut several palm-sized wounds and cause limited damage if it managed to hit the human body. Additionally, the man had the backing of the Mo family, so when he confronted Fang Yuan, he had no fear, and was wholeheartedly trying to show off his worth to his masters so that he could be rewarded and deemed more useful to the family. Young lad, you sure are courageous, huh? The middle-aged man's tone was turning unfriendly as he folded up his sleeves, revealing his well-toned and muscular forearms. His 2 arms were large and full of scars. The forearms had thick, protruding veins and were even thicker than Fang Yuan's legs. The inn employees watched in fear, and several customers were already getting up, paying the bills and leaving this land of conflict. Fang Yuan has been found? Suddenly the door emitted a proud, loud female voice. Mo Yan strode forward in big steps and entered the inn. Behind her were numerous family servants. Her body figure was decent, slightly tall, and had the proper curves. But a long face like a horse's, an inherited gene from the Mo bloodline, caused her looks to be greatly affected, and thus she was only a middle upper tier beauty. However, she wore a dark blue uniform and a red belt, affixed with a square steel plate tied around her waistline. The steel plate was engraved with a Inyun 2. Additionally, she had just returned from after a clan mission, so there was still lingering traces of the hardship that she had just gone through. These added up to create a field of pressure and threat that was emitted to her surroundings. Thus, once she stepped into the inn, the entire place went silent under her aura. Your servant greets you, young miss. The middle-aged man changed his attitude completely upon seeing Mo Yan. He tried to smile charmingly, and he bent his body as he walked a few steps and knelt on the floor, greeting Mo Yan. Upon seeing this change in behavior, the workers in the inn could only stare in shock with their mouths wide open. The tall and muscular figure, as opposed to his humble, groveling attitude, was a great mismatch and was seemingly amusing. But the employees of the inn did not laugh, as his behavior only greatly showed off Mo Yan's imposing pressure and status. Some of the inn workers could not help but worry for Fang Yuan, as he was their major customer. If something were to happen to him and made him unable to patronize the inn any further, it would be a huge loss. More of them were secretly praying for Fang Yuan to surrender. If a fight really broke out and destroyed the inn's property, that would be worse. Mo Yan did not even take a look at the groveling Gao Wan. Her eyes were fixed on Fang Yuan. She took a few steps forward and demanded in a fierce tone, "So you are Fang Yuan? You seem to be having a good meal. Heh ha, have you ever had a knuckle sandwich? I'll give you a taste of it. It might be even more delicious." Even though she said that, Mo Yan did not make a move. Fang Yuan's actions were too calm. It was strange. Did he have any secret backers that were protecting him? But it shouldn't be so. I've checked before coming. This Fang Yuan only has an uncle and aunt that dislike him, while both his parents are deceased, and he even got chased out of the house by his uncle and aunt. In addition, he only has C-rank talent, so how could such a weak young man have any sort of background? Mo Yan thought in her mind. Regardless of this, the situation was still too peculiar. She had to test and probe further. Fang Yuan laughed and squinted at Mo Yan, saying, "Who told you I was Guyo Fang Yuan?" Mo Yan was momentarily stunned, then she took a look at Gao Wan. He had just stood up, but upon seeing this, he immediately knelt back down with sweat pouring out of his forehead. He stammered and could not give a coherent reply. "Master, your servant, your servant." They had a drawing of Fang Yin, but they did not know that Fang Yun and Fang Zheng were twins that looked almost identical. No wonder this young man looked like he had no fear. He is actually Fang Zheng and not Fang Yuan, Mo Yan's servants guessed in their minds. Fang Yuan cannot be compared to Fang Zheng. The former is merely a C-ranked loner with no background. The latter, however, has a ranked talent and was pulled into the clan head's faction at the awakening ceremony. And as long as he grows smoothly, he has a bright future ahead. Mo Yan did not get proper a reply from Gao Wan, causing her to be even more hesitant. At this point, the only ones who knew Fang Yuan's identity were the inn employees. However, they could not afford to offend either parties, so they only kept their mouths shut. Fang Yuan was satiated from his meal. He stood up and glanced lightly at Mo Yan. "You want to find Fang Yuan? Come with me. I'll bring you to the school hostel to look for him. If the person in front of me is Fang Zheng, I would not want to offend him. However, even if he is really Fang Yuan, I will follow him closely on this trip, so I have no fear of him impersonating Fang Zheng." In an instant, Mo Yan made up her mind. "All right, I will go together with you to the school hostel." "After you." Mo Yan turned her body to make space for Fang Yuan, stretching out her arm and indicating for Fang Yuan to take the lead. Fang Yuan laughed nonchalantly and strode forth. Mo Yan followed closely behind with her servants trailing at the back. So close. They're finally gone. Even if they start fighting, it is none of our inn's business anymore. The employees that were left behind all sighed in relief as they patted their chests. A group of people approached the school hostel. "Halt! Stop right there. The school hostel only allows our clan's gu masters to enter and leave." The two guards at the door stopped Fang Yuan, Mo Yan, and her gang. "Insolent! Do you not recognize who I am? How dare you stop me?" Mo Yan stared at the two and screamed. "We dare not," the two guards hurriedly gestured. "Young Miss Mo Yan, this guard holds you in high regards. However, the clan rules are absolute. So how about this? You can bring one servant in. This is the most we can do for you." An elderly guard politely responded. Mo Yan clicked her tongue. Her heart was full of dissatisfaction, yet in the presence of the clan rules, she did not dare to break them. The Mo family was prosperous, and thus they had many enemies. Do not forget that aside from the Mo family branch, there was also the Chai family to contend with. Apart from the Chi family, the clan head's faction also wanted to get a hold on the Mo family. All of you stay behind. Gao Wan will follow me. Thinking about it, Mo Yan gave her orders. Gao Wan immediately held his chest up high with a look of joy on his face. Thank you, young miss, for the opportunity. Let's go, Junior. Mo Yan smiled at Fang Yuan with a questioning look. Fang Yuan remained unfazed as he led them in. He reached the dormitory door, opened the lock, and pushed the door open. He then took a step into the room and stopped. Within the room, there was nothing extra. It was all simple furniture, and there was no one else. Mo Yan stood at the doorstep, took a look inside, and her face turned grim. Junior, you better explain yourself well. There is no one in the room. Fang Yuan smiled faintly. Aren't I someone? Mo Yan stared at Fang Yuan, a glint flashing in her eyes as she suddenly seemed to have understood. I am looking for Guyue Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan snickered. You know, I never said that I wasn't Guyue Fang Yuan.